Hello, Dulcimer Crossing. Welcome to Live Q&A Wednesdays. I am Erin May Lewis, and I am one of the teachers at Dulcimer Crossing, and I'm very excited to be hanging out with y'all today for the next half hour. So we are going to be talking about how to change a drone melody tune to a flat picking tune on the mountain dulcimer. So I'm very excited about this. It's one of my favorite ways to play is across the strings instead of up the fretboard on the melody string the whole time. So I'm going to show you kind of the principles about how I make that translation happen, and some exercises that we might be able to use to get more efficient at our flat picking and our accuracy with it. So I'm just checking right now to make sure that we really are live, and that is true. We are. And I am following comments on the Dulcimer Crossing Facebook page. So if you've got questions as we go through this, please chime in there, and I will keep my eye on that chat. All right. So let's see if I can open up interesting. Okay, I tested things last night and they look different today than they did last night, but that's okay. We'll make it work here. Whoops. Hang on, I'm almost there. Thank you for your patience. Technology is our friend. Those who know me know that that is my mantra. I'm hoping that we're going to be able to have a view of my dulcimer on the screen. My camera was being a little cantankerous earlier this morning, but hopefully it's going to be working now. I'm almost there. Beautiful. Okay, I think we're ready. This should show you the beginning part of a D scale. And we can play the D scale on the melody string. Oh, the camera on my dulcimer is not cooperating. So we're just gonna make him disappear, and I'm gonna move this camera to point at my dulcimer, and that will work. Okay. So the D scale on the melody string goes from 0 to 7 with 6.5 to play the major scale. So if we play this open, and I'm in DAD tuning just to clarify. So open, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.5, 7, and we can even keep going a little higher if we want and play 8, 9, 10, 11. So those fret numbers, which are how we usually refer to them, also have note names. So if we start open, we are playing D, and then E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, and D. So then those notes also all have a companion an octave lower on the bass string. And a lot of us learned that pretty early. So we can play the scale on the bass string. D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G, A. So that gives us another octave on another string. That's great. But we also have notes on the middle string. Did you know that? Your middle string has notes too. So the notes on the middle string are A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp. If you use the 6th fret, you get G, A, B, C sharp, D. So it turns out the notes on the middle string sound kind of familiar, right? Those are the same letters that we were using just a moment ago. So we can, instead of playing the D scale on single strings, play it across the strings, where we play a few notes on the bass string and a few notes on the middle string and a few notes on the melody string. So we start on the bass string and we play D, E, F sharp, G. If we were to keep going, the next note would be A. What is our middle string tuned to? A. So instead of continuing up after the 3rd fret on the bass string, D, E, F sharp, G, the next note we can play is on the middle string at A. So now we've moved across the strings. We'll go up on the A string for a minute. A, B, C sharp. And then the next note on the middle string is D. And that is, again, the note that the melody string is tuned to. So instead of playing the 3rd fret on the middle string, we can hop over to the melody string at D. So then we have open is D, E, F sharp, G, and A. So that's a 1.5 octave D major scale played across the strings, and we never go above the 4th fret. So let's do that together a couple of times. D on the bass, E, F sharp, G. Now to the middle string, A, B, C sharp. Now to the melody string, D, E, F sharp, G, A. So let's do that one more time. D, E, F sharp, G. Now to the middle, A, B, C sharp. Now to the melody, D, E, F sharp, G, A. All right, so it then goes that any tune that is played on these frets, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.5, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, can actually be played all in the first 4 frets across the strings. So if I have a tune like Angelina Baker or Little Liza Jane, let's look at Little Liza Jane. Zoom in a little bit. We'll just we'll need the whole tune. So let me get it adjusted to where we can all see all of it. I think that'll work. Perfect. So here's Little Liza Jane. This is a pretty common favorite jam tune. And it's played all on the melody string, right? So we can play it together. 2, 0, 1, 0, 2, 0, 1, 0, 2, 4, 4, 5, 4. 2, 0, 1, 0, 2, 0, 1, 0, 2, 2, 2, 1, 0. Go to the B part. 7, 4, 5, 4. 2, 4, 4, 5, 4. 7, 4, 5, 4. 2, 2, 2, 1, 0. All right, so all the notes were on the melody string, and they went from 0 to 7. So that means we're definitely going to be able to play this across the strings. If you have a tune that has some notes on the middle string, it gets a little more complicated because you're already playing across the strings a little bit. So this system works the best, the most consistently, and without having to make any kind of modifications or changes to the melody, by starting with a tune that does lay out all on the melody string. So if you play it all on the melody string, then you can definitely play it across the strings. So any notes that are on frets 0, 1, 2, or 3 are going to move straight over to the bass string. Any notes that are between 4, 5, and 6.5 are going to transpose themselves over to the middle string at 0, 1, and 2. And then anything that's from the 7th fret and above will move down an octave to the melody string. So when we look at this tune, Liza Jane, the first two measures have only notes 0, 1, and 2. So we know that those notes are definitely going to just be played on the bass string at exactly the same frets. So I play on the bass string 2, 0, 1, 0, 2, 0, 1, 0. Got that. All right. So now we'll look at the third measure where the melody goes to the 4th and 5th frets. And you'll remember that the rule is anything from frets 4, 5, and 6.5 have to get transposed to the middle string. They're on the middle string at 0, 1, and 2. So when I see that 4 on the melody string, I'm going to move that to open on the middle string. When I see the 5 on the melody string, I'm going to move that to 1 on the middle string. So if I play measure 3 on the melody string, I play 2, 4, 4, 5, 4, measures 3 and 4. And then if I play them across the strings, I'll start on the bass string at 2, but then I hop to the middle string at open, 1 on the middle string, and back to open. The rest of the A part, the whole second line, is all frets 0, 1, and 2. So those notes are all just going to be played on the bass string. 2, 0, 1, 0, 2, 0, 1, 0, 2, 2, 2, 1, 0. So I can play all of the A part of Liza Jane now, mostly on the bass string with a few notes in measures 3 and 4 on the middle string. There was the middle string. Now back to the bass string. Let's do this one more time. Bass string, 2, 0, 1, 0, 2, 0, 1, 0, 2 to the middle, open, then 1 and open. Back to the bass string, 1, 0, 2, 0, 1, 0, 2, 2, 2, 1, 0. All right, now let's look at the bass string. The first note is not the bass string. Sorry, let's look at the B part. The first note in the B part is 7 on the melody. So that 7 on the melody is above 6.5, which is the mark of the notes that go on the middle string. So I know it's going to go to the melody string. 7th fret on the dulcimer is a D note. Open on the dulcimer is a D note. So I'm going to start with an open string on the melody string for the B part. Then the melody goes back to the 4th fret on the melody string. So 7, 4, 5, 4. So I'm going to start on open on the melody string, but then I have to go down, which means I have to go back to the middle string. Middle string open, then the 1st fret, and back to open. Now I've got 2, 4, 4, 5, 4. This is the same thing in the 3rd line as we saw in the 1st line. So I know that I'm going to play the 2 on the bass. The 4 is going to move to open on the middle string. Then the 5 moves to 1 on the middle string and back to open on the middle string. So the first line of the B part sounds like this. Melody, middle 1, oh, bass 2, middle, middle 1, oh. And then the last line of the B part, again, starts on the 7th fret. So that's going to transpose to open on the melody string. The 4 is open on the middle string. Up 1 to 5 is going to be like 1 on the middle string. Back to open. And then the ending is all on the bass string. 2, 2, 2, 1, oh. So the last line of the song is open melody, open middle, 1 on the middle, back to open middle to the bass string. 2, 2, 2, 1, oh. So let's play the whole B part across the strings now. Open on the melody, then middle 1, oh. Bass 2, middle, middle 1, oh. Open on the melody, middle 1, oh. Bass 2, 2, 2, 1, oh. All right, I think we can play the whole tune across the strings now. I do have the across the strings version written out, so I'm going to move to it now, and you will be able to follow along by reading the tab as it's written on the screen. But this is going to be the same thing that we just played by looking at the melody string version and doing it in our minds. Okay, so here's Liza Jane will play A, A, B, B across the strings. Ready, play. 2, 1, 2, 1, 2 on the bass to open middle, then 1 and back to open, back to the bass string. 2, 2, 2, 1, do it again. 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, middle, middle, 1, back to the bass string. 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 2, 1. Now we go to the melody string. Oh, then middle, oh, 1, oh. Back to bass, 2, middle, middle, 1, oh, oh. Back to melody, oh, middle, 1, oh. Bass, 2, 2, 1, oh. Repeat that part. Melody string, open, then middle, 1, oh. Bass, 2, back to middle, 1, oh. Back to melody, oh. Middle, 1, oh. Bass, 2, 2, 1, oh. I just realized as I was looking at the tab here, if you are not familiar with my tab, the circles around the numbers in the tab are a way of representing half notes or dotted half notes or whole notes in the tablature, so that the timing of it is more clear in the tab. All right, so you may have discovered that the notes themselves are not the hard part of this, but the accuracy of hitting the strings is the hard part of this. And so I thought it might be useful for us to do a little flat picking workout together. And I have whole lessons on dulcimer crossing about flat picking. So there's definitely not going to be time in the next 12 minutes to show you all of the things all of the technical things I do for flat picking. But I will let you know that I like to use a pretty stiff pick for flat picking. And one of my favorites for flat picking learning and instruction is called a Dava pick. And I like it because it's kind of rubbery on the top, so it's easy to hold on to, and it has some flexibility in that part. So it still works well for strumming if you like a flexible pick for strumming, but the part that actually touches the strings is very stiff and hard plastic. Plus they're colorful, and the rubber goes down to the point where you shouldn't actually be crossing the strings with your pick. So if you are someone who's getting a lot of pick noise when you try to play individual strings because your pick is actually hitting the side of the fretboard and you hear the clunking against the fretboard, you're probably digging too deep in the fretboard. And so this pick, where the rubber goes down close to the point, helps you feel if you're hitting the rubber instead of the hard plastic on the strings. So if you're just getting used to flat picking and you think, I might just need a different pick for this, I recommend trying one of these Dava Delrin grip picks. I think they're pretty great for learning the flat picking techniques. So the first thing that we need to do if we want to hit the strings accurately is start on a single string and make sure our hand knows where that single string is in space. When we're holding our dulcimer comfortably in our lap, where is the melody string and only the melody string? So the first exercise of the flat picking workout is just to play. Oh, my computer is trying to shut off. a part of what we're doing, and we don't want that to happen. So I'm gonna not let it do that. So on the melody string, we just want to go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth across the strings. I'm an in strummer naturally, so I tend to start on an in stroke even when I'm flat picking. It doesn't really matter. You won't hear a difference. Just use whatever feels comfortable, but you do want to be able to go both directions across the strings. And once you feel like, okay, I know where the melody string is, I'm playing it consistently all the time, then you want to see if you can do the same thing on the middle string. Can you play the middle string without ever bumping into the other strings? For me, the motion of crossing the strings mostly happens in my wrist. And the motion of determining which string I'm crossing at the moment happens mostly in my elbow. So my pick keeps moving my wrist keeps moving in really small motions, just the amount it takes for me to go across the strings. And then my elbow here is the pivot point for showing which string my pick is going to actually be crossing as my wrist moves in a really small way. So now I'm playing on the bass string. And once you feel like, okay, I can play the melody string and I can go back and forth, and I consistently hit the notes on the melody string, and I can play the middle string. I can go back and forth on the middle string. I feel really good about it. And then I can go back and forth on the bass string, and I feel really good about it. And my hand isn't touching the other strings. Like I noticed when I was just now doing this exercise, while I was playing the bass string, my wrist was actually touching the melody string, and I don't want that to happen. So I need to lift my hand up a little bit so that I'm not accidentally touching the melody string, because if I touch the melody string, then I could potentially be muting a string that I don't want to mute. So I want to keep my hand